Today we're taking a look at this pre-built machine from PCSpecialist, and I don't usually deal with pre-builts. If you ask me as a seasoned PC builder, my advice would always be build yourself your own machine and either save a little bit of cash or pay the same money and get better performance. But how much performance are we actually getting for £1,749 in 2026? And how much could we actually be getting? How much are we leaving on the table? Full specs for the machine are what you can see here on screen, with the main highlights being the CPU, the Core Ultra 5 250K Plus. It's great value for money and great performance with 6P cores and 12E cores covering most gaming and productivity tasks without breaking a sweat and without breaking the bank. You get an RX 9060 XT with 16 gigs of VRAM, which is more than enough VRAM to cover most gaming at 1440p or even 4K, even though it doesn't have the most power for 4K, so 1440p really is the target here. You get 32 gigs of Corsair RGB RAM. It's 5600 MHz CL40, so not the fastest, but at the same time, capacity is king and you get what you can these days. And the NVMe is a 2 TB drive from Clev. It's not the fastest I've seen, but still plenty capable, and 2 TB should cover most people's needs. All this, in this regular mid-tower case when it comes to size, with a tempered glass side panel and 3 front intake fans with 1 in the back. All the fans are RGB, not really my cup of tea, but I try to do something with them that makes them look nice, with the top 3 fans being attached to a 360mm radiator that cools in an AIO the CPU and is more than enough to keep the 250K cool and quiet with decent noise profile. I matched these specs pretty much like for like in PC Part Picker and came to around £1,540. I didn't include a Windows 11 license in that value because even though this machine comes with Windows 11 Home activated and accounted for in the value, you can very easily buy and very cheaply buy a Windows 11 license for pretty much nothing these days, and you might as well also just consider skipping Windows altogether. But I won't get too ahead of myself, that's for a part later on in the video. But just for the sake of argument, keep the £200 in mind. That's pretty much the value you're getting from PCSpecialist by buying the machine and getting it shipped to you pre-assembled from them. A tempered side panel pops out very easily without any tools, and everything inside was packed beautifully in order to be safe during its journey. Looking inside, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it, this is amongst the cleanest assembly quality you will ever get from any machine. If you're assembling a machine for the very first time, I find it very hard that you'll be able to get to this level of cleanliness. On this side of the motherboard, you see all the cables routed out of the way beautifully, which not only helps with aesthetics, but also stops cables from getting in the way of the airflow. You can also see a lot of small details, like fan cables routed out of sight as much as possible, which is the level of care I would have put if I have assembled this machine for a friend. This is already pretty encouraging stuff, but as any seasoned builder will tell you, show me the other side of the motherboard. Those are some terrifying words for some people. But lo and behold, we're only a few details from complete perfection. Cables bundled nicely and out of the way, the side panel closes with ease, and even small details like these adhesive strips to keep the RGB connectors from unplugging on their own. This is really great stuff. The only criticism that I can make here is the lack of reusable cable ties in most places, making future upgrades and future maintenance that you're probably going to be doing on your own a little bit more cumbersome than it probably should be, and probably you're going to end up just undoing some of this great cable management. Next, I wanted to take a look at common mistakes, things that usually pre-builts kind of shave off a little bit of money or don't pay too much attention and inevitably cost you performance. And everything was going great until the very last test. First, I checked the easy pickings. I went to check RAM and see if it was running at the XMP rated speeds in the BIOS, and it did. 5600 MHz CL40 isn't really breakneck speeds, but to be honest, in 2026, you get what you can, and 32 gigs is pretty much a requirement. So please, if you haven't checked on your particular machine, check if XMP was enabled like it was on this guy. Then I focused on the cooling. I wanted to make sure that not only was the cooling adequate, but that it was as silent as possible right out of the box. Last thing you want is for your new machine to sound like a jet engine, and here the default settings are actually quite nice. The GPU fans slow down to 0% when you're on your desktop, which is quite good. Even during gaming, the GPU isn't necessarily the loudest. The loudest I've seen is the CPU cooler and the fans when everything is going to 100%. And even then, I would rate it as silent and comfortable. And if you're gaming with headphones, this is absolutely not an issue at all. They didn't particularly tweak any fan curves or anything, so you're pretty much getting standard settings from the BIOS. But because the GPU will only pull about 200 watts at peak, and the CPU will also kind of push 150, 175 at the most, you have more than adequate cooling here to keep everything going and running smoothly without issue. With a room temperature of 23 degrees, I saw the GPU hovering at a measly 52°C with the hotspot at around 65, 67. Here, the fan was only spinning at around 40%, which results in a very quiet machine during most gaming loads. For reference, the system uses around 310 watts during most demanding games like the finals, for example, that pushes the GPU to 100% with still plenty of load being applied to the CPU side. Speaking of CPU, running something like Cinebench R20 that pushes all the cores 100% result in temperatures in the high 50s to mid 60s, which is plenty of cooling for any CPU, and it has no issue reaching the 5.1 GHz on all 6 P cores and 4.6 on the 12 E cores. I also wanted to take a look at the thermal paste application and see if there was any need to replace it, but with these temperatures and everything how it looked, I didn't see any need for it, so that's another positive. Finally, a little nod to the PSU, the Corsair 750 watt RME. This has no problem staying virtually silent no matter what you're doing on this machine, and the stock cables feel pretty good, which is always great to see. Which finally brings us to the actual performance numbers, and boy, what a roller coaster it was testing it. I first want to show you just the out-of-the-box values. This is what you should expect if you're buying a pre-built, you don't know too much about computers, and you just pretty much take everything stock. Create an account, just install some games, made sure everything was up to date as all the notifications popped up asking for updates, and we booted into some games. I chose 1440p as the resolution for all games, as this is pretty much what I would recommend for people getting this machine. As for the games, I went with a wide range of titles that covers everything from CS2 running with competitive settings, Returnal at ultra settings with ray tracing and FSR balanced, and finally the reliable Cyberpunk 2077 with ray tracing ultra and FSR 4 in balanced mode. And yeah, the numbers kind of speak for themselves. 60 FPS average and 52.5 minimum FPS on Cyberpunk with these settings, CS2 running at 400 plus FPS with 1% lows of 187.5, and Returnal averaging 93.7 with minimum FPS of 48.3. I also run Cinebench R20 to get some numbers for the CPU, and the multi-threaded came out to 11,739 with single core of 831. These numbers on their own with no further context will feel fine. You know, 1440p, 144 Hz, 120 Hz, you will hit that in most titles if you're willing to play around with the settings a bit, and if you're buying a pre-built and this is your first machine, you'll be happy. But something felt off. From the first second, something felt off. Maybe it was the fact that just moving around the desktop and opening and closing things just didn't feel as snappy as I would have expected for this sort of hardware. And sure, Windows 11 comes pre-installed with a bunch of bloat these days. Think services like Copilot, OneDrive, Microsoft Teams, the Edge browser, AI features galore spread about every single stock pre-installed app, and you get a pretty bloated experience out of the box. But here you also get other bloat. Things like ASUS Armoury Crate, which sounds important for your motherboard, but unless you want to be reminded every hour of your life with a notification on your desktop saying, get Adobe Creative Cloud for free in a few clicks, as if we're talking about hot singles in your area kind of spammy behavior, I think you should uninstall it. And the same goes for Corsair's IQ, as it's notoriously problematic when it comes to performance, and you are just better off just getting rid of it. Which brings us to Norton 360 for gamers. Now, this is something PCSpecialist lists as a feature on their machine, but not only does it behave more like a virus than the antivirus it promises to be, it also does so in a way that really bothers me. People getting a machine like this probably don't know any better. They see antivirus and they think, brilliant idea, I'm glad this comes installed, and they just go along with it. But included is only a 90-day free trial that you are immediately reminded to activate as soon as you get on your desktop. If you don't do anything like most people would, they'll be overwhelmed with the prompt and they'll just dismiss it. You'll just be constantly pinged about it, and it's already doing its thing in the background. You don't need to activate it, it's already running, it's already sucking resources and doing whatever it does, and I just think this is not the best behavior. But all this, just pre-installed, all this crap running out of the box, I'll tell you how much performance you're leaving on the table by just coming along with this sort of stuff installed. The sluggishness completely went away, the opening of windows and apps just stopped after uninstalling all this, so that's a great benefit. Cinebench R20 saw 5% better multi-core, 7% better single-core. In CS2, I saw 3.4 better averages, 5.5 better 1% lows. Returnal saw 1% lows go up by 10 frames per second, 17% improvement. That's mind-boggling, just the performance that was just there. Not only this, but just the consistency of this performance. All this crap that just exists on your machine will at any point start doing its thing, and don't trust that Windows will keep sort of the CPU targeted towards your game and not just wasted on all this, because most of the time it won't be that clever. We're talking about real performance that's just being left on the table only because of bad decisions about the software side of things. After seeing the incredible attention to detail that PCSpecialist put on the assembly of it, it really hurts me a bit to just see how lackluster the software out of the box was and how much performance is just leaving there. Someone that doesn't know any better and wants to get a pre-built will probably not know any better and leave Norton antivirus for gamers just forever, and that's performance you're just not getting, and you're paying for it. Hell, I even decided to install CashOS, a Linux distro focused on gaming, right out of the box, just to see how much performance and how much just ease you could be getting if you just ditched Microslop altogether. And the results? Well, you're gonna have to subscribe to see that, as we're gonna be releasing a full tutorial of the entire process right along with this video. It'll be a real-time tutorial, so you can just follow along and do it on your machine if you're inclined to, but just to not leave you fully hanging, the desktop performance was much faster. Everything felt snappy and just incredible, honestly, coming from Windows. Kind of unbelievable. You have to try it. And the gaming performance was either slightly better or slightly worse, depending on the titles, but it's much better and much easier than you probably expect. And being done from rebooting from Windows to being in CashOS, getting on Steam in under 10 minutes, feels incredible. Plus, it's a safe place to be if you want to get away from get Adobe Creative Cloud for free in a few clicks kind of behavior. In conclusion, let's go back to the money thing. You're effectively paying £200 for someone else to assemble a machine for you and assemble it to a very high standard when it comes to the hardware side. As for this particular build, it's pretty balanced when it comes to CPU and GPU performance, and all around you're getting a pretty decent package, even though it's a little bit expensive because of all the RAM and storage prices. But as we started, I would always argue for building it yourself. I know it isn't for everyone, but it's an incredibly invaluable skill that you will use again and again in life if you just end up enjoying this thing. And for the £200, you could just spend on a better monitor, or you can upgrade the graphics card to something much more powerful, like an RX 9070 or an NVIDIA 5070 if you want to go the NVIDIA route. It really is about the freedom of choice, and the process isn't really as daunting as you might expect, but I empathize with the idea of buying a pre-built, and I think PCSpecialist does a fantastic job with the assembly and the hardware side of things, if we just forget about the Norton for Gamers pre-installation shenanigans. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Check out the Linux video, the CachyOS installation. That should come right along with this one. It's a fun one, and I promise it sounds very daunting, but you can do it and give it a try and see if the grass really is greener on the other side. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.